Y'all know what time it is. Here we go. Episode 4. Kicking it with the belt guy. I know Sergeant Mayhem's in the back plotting on how he's going to get his hands on that, but it's not happening because he doesn't know where I live. So that's how that works. I got the fellows with me, the bearded crew, the big blue beards, and they do have quite envious beards on my end, which is probably why I've never been on the show. I got to get girth first, and then maybe we'll cross that bridge. Darius in the house. Hey, listen, no need to wait. Let's get the squad in here. Let's get going.
Cheers, guys.
Fellas,
How we doing?
How you doing?
How's everyone doing?
Cheers.
Cheers.
Did somebody literally just talk about beard girth?
Yeah, I was like, I kind of did one of these, like, oh.
Talking about girth already.
You know, Mason's in the building.
That's
I'm
a
gonna,
word I've never.
I'm gonna go ahead and just let Mason be Mason. Appreciate you being
Mason
here,
Fry?
bud.
What up, Mason?
And of course, the greatest supporter of all time for the community, or one of Darius Smith, who supports literally everybody all the time.
The best.
I appreciate you, Darius. So we're gonna get right into this,
Absolutely.
right? This show more or less is for you guys, it's your platform. How did you get here? How's life? Tell us a little bit about yourselves, and then we'll cross into a little bit into football. And before we do, shout out to Becca, also one of the best supporters in the community. Always got to shout out Becca.
How you doing, Becca?
So anyone can take it. Smooth.
Yeah, no.
You know, give us your name.
No,
Who are you? What do you do? Where are you from? How did you end up in this world?
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I'm
ringmaster
not
topics.
going to divulge too many of my secrets, but first things first, like how this all got started is we got to first and foremost shout out New York Revival, because we were all kind of a part of their first couple shows. Really, I mean, me personally, I was introduced to Hefe first. It's Jeff. I know Jeff not personally, but I know him through someone that plays soccer in New Jersey. Oh shit, I know that guy. He's like the backyard dude, like does like a lot of YouTube stuff. And I was like, yeah, I was like, he started a channel. And so how this whole Big Blue Beard started was I got with Sarge first and said, hey, listen, I have a concept, like we're all bearded, like let's do a intro show first. Like at the beginning we were going to call it Can You Change My Mind? And then Sarge and I realized you can't change Giants fans' minds when their minds are made up about Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, the coach, the defensive coordinator, whether the sky is blue, whether their favorite color is red. Like, so we just were like, all right, how can we make this more fun? So who's more fun than Monty? So we brought Monty in as our third beard, and we're like, listen, let's just take off and be like, listen, let's just do the Big Blue Beards. Let's just call it that. Let's have fun with it. We are not a film breakdown show. We are not an analytical show, even though I think so. His shows have been about the draft, so maybe we're a draft show. I don't know yet. My favorite show so far is the name draft. It's not the actual draft, like the actual mock draft stuff. So I lean more towards the have fun, and I love the Giants, and I'm a comedy guy, and we try to have fun. But that's how this all started.
So do you guys even personally know each other, or is it just social media love?
Social media.
And here we are, and now we're a thing, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. So where's everybody actually located?
So I'm in Connecticut, and I know these guys both were there at one point in time in their life, but that's where I'm at right now.
Are you originally from Connecticut?
Yeah, I'm from Connecticut. I was in West Virginia for a while, but now
I can see
I'm
the
back.
Yukon shirts creeping in as you move back.
Yeah.
Subtleties. So you went. You said you went to West Virginia.
Yeah, I went to West Virginia University, and then I got a job there after I graduated. So I lived there for about another 4 years. I used to live maybe a quarter mile from the football stadium. So I used to go all the football games and all that. So a big West Virginia football fan. But yeah, me and my fiance are both from Connecticut, and we were living down there. So we moved back recently. Get close to the family.
To the fiance, and congratulations on that too.
Thank you, sir.
That's are we frozen?
Yeah, you're good.
good.
You were a little
You're
good. You're good.
No, what I was going to say was that I'll let Sarge unfreeze, but the irony of all this is we've all lived in Connecticut at some point. at some point in our lives. I grew up in Connecticut. I moved down to North Carolina 13 years ago, but I mainly grew up in Meriden, lived in New Haven, Connecticut, home of the best pizza in the world. And everyone freaks out about that with New Jersey. And if you're literally doing this, that means you've never had it. So I'm just saying, because I've lived in the city. I've lived
He's not
just
wrong.
outside of
He's
New
not
Jersey.
wrong.
New Haven pizza. I've had this argument 7,000 times on Twitter. Another can't change your mind subject.
Yeah.
It's just, if you haven't had it, like, that's the thing is, like, I'm a big believer of, I won't ever give my opinion. Experienced it. Like, if someone says, do you like skydiving? I'm like, I've never done it.
Love it.
Do you think New Haven pizza is the greatest pizza of all time? I'm like, yes.
Can't say.
Have you had New York? Yes. Have you had New Jersey? Yes. Have you had shitty North Carolina pizza? Yes. So, you know what I mean? Like, I have frame of reference, but the people that don't, they're disqualified from the conversation.
And that's fair. That's fair. So I'll make a face, but likewise, in fairness, I haven't had it, so I can't knock it to that extent because I haven't had it. So fair enough.
There you go.
Zain, where do you live at? Where do you live at?
I'm in South Jersey now, but I grew up in Jersey City. So I'm from Jersey City. I spent, I would say, 80% of my life, 85% in Jersey City. So that's kind of what I know. But now I'm in South Jersey now.
Okay, you got to at some point. Maybe Monty can meet you there, and it could be a content thing. You got to go get New Haven pizza. Do it on a weekend.
I've heard enough about people from Connecticut scream about Connecticut pizza, and it's like, okay, there's enough noise, there's enough articles referencing too. So at some point, you are correct. I do have to make that move. So I got to put that on a bucket list and make something happen about that. But definitely need to drive through and figure that out.
It's definitely worth a try.
Okay. All right, Sarge. Give us your backstory.
So my connection is I'm going to go into. I was born out on Long Island. Bounced around kind of Long Island for a while growing up. My Connecticut connection is college.
You're cutting out, Sarge. My bad. I'm hearing bits and pieces.
And now I live out in Colorado.
In Colorado, okay. I heard that part.
Yeah.
All right, so here we go. Between the three of you,
Only Giants fan out in Colorado, but apparently, I found a group of people, and I have yet to make a Giants bar, Denver, that I am going to make it to at least one time, and I might do like a remote from the bar.
well, Giants fans
So
are
I'm really
everywhere.
excited about that.
So you can definitely find
They really are.
Giants fans everywhere, which is the cool part. So all right, how did you end up Giants fan? Was this a choice? Is it kind of like, it's family and I didn't have a choice of what I grew up with, or what was it? Did something say this is why this and not this? How did we end up as Giants fan here? How did you guys say, all right, this is what I'm riding with?
I mean, I don't know about you, Monty, but growing up in Southern Connecticut, like, I'm on the border, like, right in the center of the state. So you could go either way. Like, you could have been a Patriots fan, you could have been a Giants fan, you could have been a Jets fan. Although growing up, it's kind of like people would think you were weird when you were a Jets fan. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I'm not, like, at least where I'm from, like, from Jersey, different. Mason. No, but
he flew by,
yeah.
he had a good time and he was gone.
Mason's funny. No, so for me, like, my grandfather was a big Giants fan. He had pictures from the training camp when I was a kid, before I even knew what was going on, when they used to play at the Yale Bowl in New Haven. And, my dad ended up being like a big Parcells fan. I definitely, sorry, I got distracted by someone asking me if I was married. I don't know how to handle those questions anymore. Because clearly I am. No, so I mean, like, I grew up a Giants fan just because most of my family was not as rabid as me, but that's just life. I always loved the Giants. It's always been a part of who I was. Like, my parents were, my mom was a teacher, my dad was like a janitor. Like, like, it's one of those things where just like hard-nosed, tough. You could never, like, I don't think I could ever have been you know, like a Atlanta Falcons fan or someone that's like trendy, because it was just like you wanted to be that gritty, grimy team. You know, like I was a big fan of like Charles Way and even a little bit like Antonio Pierce and God, who was the fullback that Greg Camella, like those guys, like just like you know um Chase Blackburn, like just grinders, like because I was an athlete, but I wasn't the fastest, but I always used to like figure it out. So that was my deal, you know. So I was always drawn to those Giants players.
Yeah, for me, I kind of have a funny story for this. I have an early memory of being Giants. One part of it is my grandfather is a Giants fan, and we were always close, so that definitely played a role into it. But I have this memory. So my dad's a Cowboys fan, and I used to, there's definitely pictures of me growing up in like Cowboy shirts and stuff he put me in.
I need screenshots or something. Just
Yeah, they're out there. I'm not gonna put them anywhere, but they're there.
That's actually that's child abuse.
It really is.
But I specifically remember one of my earliest memories. My dad had a Giants Cowboys game on, and he has it on. He asked me like, "Who are you rooting for?" Like assuming I'm gonna say Cowboys because he's put in my whole life.
Sure.
And I remember my thought as a little kid. I was just like, a Cowboy and a Giant fought. Clearly, a Giant would win. So I'm rooting for the Giants here. And I guess that and my grandpa and stuff, it just stuck. And now I'm a maniac about this team.
That's some pretty good child logic for you. So
yeah.
you had it nailed down early. Like, hey, listen, this makes sense to me.
Yeah, this smush done over.
Nice. Okay. So, Sarge, how'd you end up where you end up? You said Long Island, right? So that's definitely part of it.
Yeah, kind of same thing. My grandfather was a Giants fan too when I was real little. My cousins are hockey guys. They played hockey. My older cousin coaches hockey. His kids all play. Football, and I was just I've been a football guy my entire life, and I've been a Giants since 3 years old, I think.
Fair enough. And while we're talking about hockey, shout out to the Devils. You're getting spanked by the Canes, but you beat the Rangers. So that's something.
There you go.
That's something. All right. So, without dating yourselves in age, obviously, I'm not going to inquire. How far back are we Giants fans? Where do the memories go? Are we talking, hey, guess what? I was watching in the 80s. I was watching in the 90s. Where are we historically, individually speaking? Wise.
I'm going to say 2 words real quick, and that'll answer the question is wide right.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Live?
Wide
right, live, right? We would say live here.
No, I grew up, in the 80s, so I was around for I've been alive for all the Super Bowls. How much I remember about the first one is to be
debated.
A story I tell people. Oh yeah, I remember I was 6
okay.
or whatever. Yeah, that's just. But I do remember, just like Monty, I had pictures. I was 6 years old, and I was sitting on my dad's lap, and I had a little mini Phil Simms jersey on at a Super Bowl party. So we were in it. Like I was, and I'll never forget in 1990. I had friends in elementary school who were 49ers fans. I'll never forget going to school the next day and being like, fuck yeah. When we beat them before we even got to the Super Bowl, the Matt Barr game where he had 5 field goals. Like, yep. I'll never forget that experience. That was the first time that where it was just like, it felt real to be a Giants fan, because you were coming into school and being like, fuck you, your team lost, like, especially the 49ers, because that was everyone's, even on the East Coast, like, if you're not like a big fan and your family's not a fan, like that was what casual fans like. You were a Niners fan, then people were Bengals fans, like, like people, like the teams that were trendy at the time.
Then yeah, for me, I don't know. My first football jersey was a Strahan jersey, followed up by a red alternative Eli jersey. So I started out like as a Giants fan. I picked my team, probably before Eli was there. But really, when I started sitting down and watching games, it was probably right around the time we drafted Eli. When I was choosing myself, that's probably kind of like the start of my Giants fandom.
Pretty good decision, right? You missed that chunk of pretty crappy years for the rest of us. So
yeah.
sans a year here or two with the late end Kerry Collins. I mean, everything in between was just not good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with Smooth here, right? I was born in the mid '80s. I was born in '85, so I would say actively started watching in the early '90s. So I would say the same thing. The first two Super Bowls are probably spot memories, just because I was like 6 and 1, right?
Mhm.
So not gonna have that.
Oh, I remember vividly the Bills Super Bowl because I was hiding behind the couch during the Norwood field goal, and when I heard it say wide right, we like jumped up and we're like, let's
I
fucking
mean,
go.
that's a great memory.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't remember what happened 15 minutes ago. I'll be real with you. I remember such garbage at the stage of my life.
I don't either, but I remember that shit.
Hey, listen, they say emotion evokes great memories, so that's a great one that just sticks. So you guys are, I don't want to say lifers, but you're in there. You've been here for a while. Things are on the upswing now, right?
Yep.
The draft just went by. Give me a little summary about how you're feeling about it. If you want to harp on a player, go for it, plus or minus, whatever. Again, your platform. How do you generally feel about this draft, and what are your reactions for said draft? And take your turns.
Monty,
Yeah, I'll start off. So,
it's a draft. We're not talking about
And let's
undrafted
preface,
free agents
Monty
yet.
likes those big defensive guys, right? We didn't get one. Maybe I don't know how he feels about Riley, so we'll see. He likes those D linemen.
and I was a big
No,
fan
no,
of the
no, no,
draft.
no.
What do you-
I'm trying to temper Monty because we don't want to talk about undrafted free agents just yet.
No, I mean, talk about the whole thing. Yeah, throw the UDFAs in there. Talk about the whole,
draft.
get
I-
the whole loop in there.
I got you. Sorry. No, I love the draft. I'm
No,
obsessed with
we're at
it.
Dayton Stills 2.0 right now. So.
But yeah, so the draft, I loved it. I thought Banks was a great pick in the first round. There's obviously the talk about the trade up there. I would have been fine sticking and going Porter or Banks. Giants felt differently. If that's how they feel, I support it. The first 3 rounds is really what you look at here, because I think we found 3 starters. You got John Michael Smith, day one, probably one of the most pro-ready players in this entire draft. And then you got Jalen Hyatt, who I didn't love as like a first-round pick for the Giants, but I did think was a first-round talent. I thought if he went to a team that could utilize his deep threat like day one and was a huge part of their offense, he'd be a great pick first round. It's not as big of our offense right now, but where we got him, I mean, I would have taken him in the second round too. So then I think Eric Gray, you'll be a good player to help with us. And, I thought we got some good upside picks, some special team help. And, my boy Bryce Ford Wheaton out of West Virginia. So happy about the upside there.
David Sills 3.0.
Hell yeah.
The 2, they all just give him 3.0.
What about you guys?
You gonna go, Sarge?
I mean, it went really well. I felt I was okay with what we gave up to move up the 2 times we moved up, because I like to see that aggressiveness out of Joe Shane.
Mm-hmm.
They had gotten the board. I'm not going to let any our guy in the felt was about our guy. We gave up what 1-4, 1-5, and a 6, and like so we got our guys. We got the we wanted. The regime that we have in place to make, and I wouldn't say I don't know too much about the 7th round guys other than what I'm hearing on other Giant draft podcasts and stuff like that. But like, we got what we wanted. I know draft night. Day 2. I'm sure Smooth and I were pretty happy when they drafted Jalen Hyatt. As we were both Tennessee fans.
Yep.
Yeah. So
by marriage,
I have no
not by
complaints.
geography.
I am not one. Oh yeah. I'm a Tennessee fan just because they were exciting to watch this year.
Yeah, I mean that's part of it too. I mean, no doubt. Also, I'm with Sarge. I'm with Monty. Like, I don't have a strong feeling about it. It makes me laugh when we have and listen, fan how you want to fan, but it makes me laugh when you have these guys who are like, why did we trade up and just stick with, we could have stayed where we are and we could have got Joey Porter and we would have had an extra pick and all this other shit. And it's like, okay, so these guys, Brandon Brown, Joe Shane, they've been around for a long time. They're not always going to make the right choices. The draft is a crapshoot. They do the same type of evaluations that even some guys on Giants Twitter and evaluators do, but they also have the credentials to back them up. Like they have the connections. Like you ask me what I do for a living. I'm a recruiter for a living, right? So if any one of you guys, I can teach any one of you guys to find someone, give you 3 qualifications, you could find me a candidate tomorrow. The difference between you and me right now is I have connections internally at different offices, different verticals that I can find out if that person is a fuck up, if their leadership skills are shitty, if they've done anything in the scope of their life that's going to make them a great pick. And I think that's what this machine is right now with the Giants, is they are finding guys who you may not know or you may not like, but they're tough, they're smart, they're dependable, and they're using all of actions just like everyone else does. But some teams do it better than others. That's why some teams never miss on players' character, on whether they're going to fit in the locker room. There's a reason why Kadarius Toney did not fit here. He was not a character guy. Like, I know he had injuries, and that sucks, but he also didn't really want to be here. Like, that's part of it. So every one of these guys, I guarantee you, wants to be here, is going to want to be a contributor, is going to want to work hard to be a New York Giant. And as a fan, that's all I ask, is that you draft guys who on Sunday are going to be busting their ass to try to be here. And here's a guy who I know it sucks that he didn't work out, a Kenny Galladay. It was great to find out that he actually was busting his ass to get on the field and like going through a lot of tough times, and maybe it was a mental thing. Did he get fleeced? He fleeced the Giants for a lot of money, but I always try to not freak out about like a player's money or where we draft them, or if we get a free agent, it's like, oh, but we could have got this guy. It's like they didn't like him. You're not the GM. Deal with it. Move on. He's your player now. In 4 years, he's not going to be on the team anymore, and you're still going to be representing the Giants. So,
and if you're lucky, maybe less than 4 years if you didn't like him.
Yeah, exactly. So I just try to flow with whoever we choose, and right now this regime has a lot of equity, in my opinion.
Sure,
they've built that up. They've gained my trust. Fucking first year, they make the playoffs. They win the game. I don't care I don't care that we beat a shitty Minnesota team. Like, I'll never understand these people who are all doom and gloom. Like, did they not just watch the last 7 years of Giants football? It was awful.
Yeah, and even
that
7-year window, 16 was a blip. You can go further back and say it was like over a decade-year window with that blip that took place.
Yep.
So I'm with you. There's people today who are just crying and moaning, oh Christmas, the Eagles, oh Christmas. I was like, bro, how are you this scared of a team? Are you kidding me?
I have one other take about the Christmas though, and it's not about the Eagles. It's about Christmas is supposed to be a happy time. So the only thing that I saw that, and I looked at my wife and because she's a Cowboys fan, so we played last year on Thanksgiving, and so that was like she's waving at me right now. She's probably actually giving me the finger, but no, I was joking with her. I'm like, oh, without a doubt. But the funny thing is like my first reaction was like, God damn it, this is my son's first Christmas, and I'm gonna be angry at the television for 3 hours. No. Even if they're winning, I'm still gonna be a mess. That's how my process. Like these guys know, even if we're good, I always say something negative to start, and then I get back to the positive stuff.
I understand. You're that guy. You have a.
It's just like
I got you.
I get all the devil shit out of my system. Like, fuck this team, fuck that guy, and then I'm like, great catch, Sterling Shepard.
Understood.
Great catch, Wandell.
Yeah, but I'm with you. I think the whole community needs a little bit of influx of moving away from the pessimism. It's okay to sit maybe on the fence of things and not like moves. That's okay. You're not gonna like everything. I like everything. So what? Move on, accept it, and hope for the best here, right? Just hope for the best, and maybe something good will come out of it. I didn't love every pick. Who's gonna sit here and be like, "Yo, I loved every pick. They nailed it." We don't know, right? It's on paper. We don't know. And like you said, the draft is a crapshoot. But I mean, I think everyone could come to a consensus at least the first three picks because you're getting day one starters that should do well with their traits that they have. Everyone should be excited about bringing three day one starters. Now, expect the transition, right? Cornerback is hard. I'm not putting all the expectation on Banks to just start flourishing immediately. Cornerback is probably the hardest position right outside of quarterback, probably the next hardest position to play. So, I mean, temper some expectations for some people. But if they love him and Wink said, "Hey, I want this guy," go ahead, trade everything to go get him. And that might sound, excessive, but it isn't, because last year when I said, you know what, this team's going to win 10 wins, as stupid as that sounded, I put all my eggs in the Wink basket. I wanted to sign him. When they signed him, I was like, look, I'm putting all my eggs in him. That first 2 years, he's going to really coach these guys up to really get out there and make a difference. And he did. He took, again, street merchants into, top 15.
Yeah. And the two things I'll say about the trade ups too that Giants can take solace in is one, that when you trade up for a guy, they're getting somebody that's in the top of their board right there. You're not reaching, there's no tier break, they're not panicking.
Nope.
They went up because they saw a clear tier break and they're like, this is a guy that we see is that much better than the other guys. So you can take solace in that, where look, remember what we feel? They felt conviction about these guys. And also, I kept telling fans this, we were never going to use all those draft picks. We spent 12 draft picks last year. You're going to cut first and second year players if you take that many picks in. It was always draft capital. It was always trade capital to move up. I felt just because of my opinion on how close I had Banks and Porter, I would have rather stayed, but obviously they felt different. I support that. I just felt that you could, I didn't feel like, we could use those picks again. It was just like, we could trade up somewhere. But guess what? John Michael Smith fell right in our lap, so we didn't even need to trade up the next round. I think that's the guy we wanted. So I think I think it all worked out for the best.
Yeah, and you absolutely
Monty.
You nailed it on the head right there. We were never making those 10 picks.
No.
But Monty, you know this. Come on, everybody on Giants Twitter that freaks out about the amount of picks and the people don't understand stashing picks for draft capital. There's people that don't know. I really do feel like, and I'm not making fun of everybody, but there is a good portion of Giants Twitter that couldn't pick up their parents out of a lineup right now with how weird in some of the shit that comes out of these Twitter feeds, like some of the content that comes out. I don't get it. I don't understand that. It's a lot of people try to be the smartest people in the room. Just have fun. Enjoy the fucking team. This team is finally winning. Can we just? And if they take a step back, it's not going to be a big deal. This is phase 2 of a longer process. What's up, Sarge?
I'm going to hit you with an actually.
Actually,
I think that swath. Actually, I think that swath of Giants Twitter could identify their parents because they're still living in their basement.
No, don't do that. That's just Mo.
No. I am going to do that. I'm going to do that. It's not just Mo, and it's there's quite a few.
Come on, Sarge. Don't be lazy. That's an old joke.
But you know why it's an old joke? The stereotypes are a thing because they're true half the time. So, the thing is this: I love all of the draft experts on Twitter, Giants Twitter. I can tell you right now, I have my third Twitter account. I follow a lot of Denver Broncos stuff because obviously I'm living in Colorado, and I just like to watch the Broncos set fire to everything and everyone around them. It's fun. Sports radio out here is ridiculous. You guys think New York sports radio is bad? Denver sports radio is horrible because Mark Schlereth has his own show 5 days a week. And just
terrible.
He's slinging that green chili and giving all the bad Broncos takes he can think of. But God, I hate that guy. Thank God he blocked me on Twitter. No, I mean, here's the thing: is you get all these draft experts, and their big board doesn't line up with the guys who get paid to scout professionally. And they're like, oh, that's too high for that guy, and that's too high. You don't know shit. Hey, everybody's like, why did we give up a 5th and a 7th when all the Eagles gave up was a 4th-round pick in next year's draft? Well, A, we're not giving up picks for next year just yet, kids. We're going to hang on to that. Also, everybody's got like, well, this draft pick point total board says it was only worth this, but Jimmy Johnson's draft pick board says it was that. And you know what? Here's the thing. You still don't know anything. Everybody now knows that Buffalo was trying to jump the Giants. Also, Buffalo was looking to trade into the spot where the Giants were at. When we traded up with Jacksonville, the Buffalo immediately called Jacksonville and moved into that spot.
Mm-hmm.
So who did Jacksonville really want? And they traded back 2 spots. It doesn't matter who Jacksonville wanted. What matters is you don't know what you're talking about. You're not a professional scout. You're not a GM. And come in here real quick. We're going to do this. You don't know anything. You don't work for a football team. Talk as much on Twitter as you want, but here's the thing. At the end of the day, you don't know anything.
I feel like what I've taken away from this is, according to Sarge, I don't think they know anything, which is pretty valid here because on a couple of those points, right, the big board people have turned that whole point system into a complete, like, holy grail. It is God's word and you cannot deviate. 400 points needs to be 400 points or you suck at your job. That is not how negotiation works in any world. Ask the recruiter right here. He knows how negotiating goes. This is not how it works in the real world. If a team smells desperation, they know you want a player. Guess what? That's leverage. So if they want you to give up more and you want it, you're going to give up more if you want it. That's just what it is.
Yep.
You know what's so funny too is like when you go on Twitter, like I rarely tell people what I do for a living because it's so stupid. Like when they try to, I think I made a joke one time. It was just like, I think it was like, this is what I think for content creators. If you're a content creator, in particular one that says that they break down film and that they're an analyst or anything like that, you have to go through a basic skills test of being of what it's like to be an NFL scout. You have to go on NFL Plus to get all 22. They literally give you a test. Maybe it's their Wonderlic test or whatever it is. If you fail the test, you don't get allowed to look at the film. They keep your money and you're banned from the website for a year.
I like it.
Most people on Twitter could never pass a basic football skills test because some of the shit I see, and there are exceptions to the rule, like 100% there are. And those people should be lauded and we talk about them all the time. But in terms of negotiations, like that always makes me laugh. It's like, well, what do you know? And it's like, I don't know, dude. Like, it's only what I do every day for the last 6 years of my life. And before that I was playing professional tennis, but I don't know anything. It's cool, whatever. So it's just silly. People that feel like they have to validate, based off of whatever. It's just, I'm just another fan like them. My opinion absolutely does not matter to John Mara, to Joe Shane, and Brian Daboll. It matters to some people in the Twitter sphere. Cool. Sure. But that's it.
Monty, floor is yours.
Oh, I don't know. I don't have too much of a rant on it. I mean, I think I've talked to you about this before, Zain. I think, the people that you really can trust their opinion on Twitter and you can learn the most from are the people who are willing to kind of like take your opinion back to you, where they're willing to listen and hear feedback and change their mind. I DM'd Zain privately at one point. I was like, that's something I really appreciate about you, because me and Zain don't always agree. Sometimes I'll mess up. I'll say something. I'll be like, hey, I disagree.
Before I want to come on, Monty sent me this whole thing about, hey, we don't always agree. I was like, really? I like what you say. What are you talking about?
I just felt like I
No,
was replying
it's just
to your
he doesn't
stuff.
like what you say. That's
That
what it
was
is. It's the
fair.
opposite.
That made a lot of sense. I tried to listen to it. And I was like, it's not him, it's me. So all right, I let him
Yeah,
It
go
was
on.
because I was
Exactly.
replying to your stuff a lot, and I was disagreeing. I'm like, hey, like it was kind of like a lot of replies over the last like couple
Yeah,
weeks, but I'm like,
absolutely.
you always were like, that makes sense. I haven't thought of it that way, and I
Right.
try to do the same thing. We like reply to my stuff, and I've learned a lot from a lot of people on Twitter because there's some smart people on there if you're willing to listen to them.
Yeah, and I appreciate Monty for that. And I think the one thing, at least I always try to, or anyone, I would say, not just me. There's plenty of people who try to be fair. It's not going to always go well on Twitter because Twitter isn't a player for fairness. There's a ton of extremism, and then there's just a set of people who are willing to. I try to be the part of willing to that. You know what? I might
Sure.
not agree, but I see your perception and point of view, and I feel like that's okay. It's just not my agreements, but we can.
Yeah, of course.
There's no issue because we have a disagreement. Now, I stupidly jumped into a space I shouldn't have jumped into because I knew who was in the space, but I was like, I'm gonna do it anyway, right? So
Was Rob running it?
Huh? No, you were smarter. You're smart
I'm
enough not to
running-
be in it. You were smart enough not to be in it. So I jump in there, and I joke you not, a 30-minute discourse on what a terrible pick Eric Gray was, and I was like, you guys are killing me right now.
Someone
about
said that?
There was a whole discourse about
A fifth-round pick?
Yes, a whole discourse about why Eric Gray was the wrong pick at like 172. Because guess what? Another running back that I thought should have been picked wasn't picked. And I was like, you guys are killing me. He's got a great skill set. He's got great potential. If they've identified him to help bolster the room and give Barkley a good back that can be a 3-down back, and now you have 4 years of cost control, what's the issue? Like, you don't have to love it, but what's the issue that we're still talking about Eric Gray? Well, you know what? Dwayne McBride was still there, and so was there, and I felt this person was. 30 minutes on Eric Gray, you guys are killing me, man.
I love Dwayne McBride, but that dude couldn't catch a cold.
But you can't
It's a different skill set.
What? Yeah, and
kind of like what we're all saying, right? When you're fixated on this is just wrong, regardless of who thinks it's just wrong, don't even be open-minded to it. It's just wrong. Like, I'm open-minded to Jordan Riley. Never heard about him. Wasn't even on my radar. I was like, that's an interesting pick. And then you go back and you hear go look his measurables. Then you hear Wink wanted him. I'm already sold. I heard Wink wanted him. I'm sold.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, the thing I'll say too is like it goes back to relationships. Like who do these GMs like have relationships with at the college level, right? And I knew this because of my wife being a Tennessee gal, that Josh Heupel and Joe Shane are like this, and it's same with Dable. Like they're all boys. Like so, Eric Gray was a Tennessee guy before he transferred to Oklahoma. So a lot of that stuff is who do you trust when you're making these picks? And yeah, does Dwayne McBride on all of our Pro Football Focus fucking mock drafts that we did every day for the last 27 months, was he a higher, pick than Eric Gray? Sure. But I also don't have a phone line. I can't text Josh Heupel and be like, hey, what do you think about Eric Gray? I can't text who's the coach that's at Oklahoma. I can't think of his name. Losing my train of thought. But yeah, I mean, like they have. Who was the Oklahoma coach that went to USC?
Lane Riley.
Not Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, I know.
Lincoln Riley.
I always mix
Yeah,
them
like
up.
Lincoln Riley,
yeah, like you can't we don't have those connections. And if you do, cool, like good for you. And maybe Eric Gray should have been a 7th round pick. But the fact that people are complaining about those picks that we traded up for, about guys roster, because they just, there's only so many spaces. And then I love Monty, but like we were joking around about on our pod about Bryce Ford Wheaton. That's going to be a whole other fucking thing eventually too, because that dude is a monster. He looks like DK Metcalf. He's gonna everyone on Giants Twitter in the preseason is gonna be like, oh, this guy's got to make the team. He's got to make the team, and I'm gonna be like, no, he shouldn't, because he didn't even fucking have the ability to get drafted. Okay, there are guys all over the country. They will find you if you're the most talented player. Remember, what are their mantras? Tough, smart, dependable, right? You do not use those characteristics when you're talking about Bryce Ford Wheaton. You know what you use? All Madden player. Great stats, but not an actual real football player. Like, not someone that you can depend on. Sorry, Corey Washington 2.0.
He is a development guy. They give him money to see. Let's see if they end up stashing him on the practice squad. It'll be interesting whether he is or whether he ends up being a Colin Johnson replacement, a cheaper cost control. Who knows? I don't know. We'll see. Because right now they have a lot of receivers between what's actually going to be carried on the 53 and what's not. So it's going to be interesting. So I'm kind of with you, right? You don't get too high, you don't get too low because you don't know yet. Let's see what the coaching develops. Coaching did a lot last year that I don't think anyone expected anyway.
And actually,
Fabian Moreau was looking like a Pro
Mark.
Bowl.
Yeah, Mark, that's a great question because I've actually heard that Ford Wheaton may make it onto the team as a tight end because he is similar in size and skill set to Lawrence Cager.
Bobby was talking about that one.
Bobby and Justin were talking about that on Talking Giants, man. That's like
I love Bobby.
He's got
and
that.
I love Justin.
He's got the same.
But no.
I don't even think Cager makes
No,
it.
because
carry more than three tight ends, to be honest. I don't think Cager makes the team.
What the fuck are we talking about? Lawrence Cager was lucky to make the team. Like he's not good.
Yeah, we're talking about the fourth tight end right now. This is what Giants Twitter is all about.
We're talking about
not even the fourth tight end. We're talking about a UDFA wide receiver that somebody hopes would be the fourth tight end.
No, Lawrence Cager.
It's mind-boggling.
Is the fourth tight end.
No, but Lawrence Cager is lucky to have seen playing time. He was a stopgap. He was a guy that they put in because of injuries, but because he had a good matchup here and there because he's got some speed. And Cager also, by the way, came in as a receiver and developed into a tight end. You're not fucking bringing Bryce Ford Wheaton and changing him into a tight end right away. Like, are we serious? Are we gonna that's not happening?
So to add context to that, part of the reason I'd be fine with the transition, honestly. So part of the
as long as he's on the team is all I care about.
A part of the thought process that he said basically was that it's an undrafted free agent. He'll probably make the practice squad regardless. But if he shows out a little bit as a wide receiver, there's a chance somebody could come and get him.
Oh
but
shit!
If you're a tight end, and he's developmental tight end, no one's taking him. So he's going to be in a practice squad no matter what in that sense. You have a year to develop him because if he's transitioning to tight end, nobody's going to take him off your practice squad because there's so much work ahead for him. But like his frame could theoretically build into that as a Lawrence Cager. So that was kind of the conversation they were having.
Monty, thank you for adding context. That makes me feel a little bit better about Justin and Bobby's ability to actually have conversations at a high level. However, no.
Bryce Ford Wheaton, next DK Metcalf. Watch out.
Right. Each of you from the draft, UDFA, whatever, just from the overall draft process involved, give me your biggest positive, what you're most excited about. Give me your biggest negative, what you're least excited about that took place. And it could be anything. It doesn't have to necessarily be a player. It could be a scenario where, I'm just not happy about Saquon and he hasn't signed the tag and I don't know what's going to happen. Just give me your one positive, one negative on what you feel about going forward.
I got one, so I'll start it off. So my biggest positive, and I'll say to the draft and to this offseason, I felt the Giants were able to give Daniel Jones a supporting cast to really kind of see who he is, but without sacrificing the future. They didn't go out and trade for a DeAndre Hopkins and make a short-sighted move. They made Darren Waller, which was a really smart, savvy move to add a player who was cheaper and didn't cost that much trade for. It got Jalen Hyatt in the third round, who adds a vertical element. They got John Michael Smith, who will help protect him. So they did all these moves that add up to give us an offense that can actually support him without doing something stupid just to do it. So they continued with their plan, but also did what they had to do. So I thought that was a masterclass by Joe Schoen, honestly. As far as the draft, the negative I'd come away with was really that we didn't, outside of one defensive tackle pick late, we didn't really address the front seven. We really need a pass rush depth. I didn't love that we had to bring back O'Shane Ximines. I get it, but we kind of know who he is, and I wish you get somebody with some more upside. Yeah, X. And then
I hate O'Shane Ximines. I'm just gonna say this.
And we
Not
still
that-
need
not that
linebacker.
person,
And we
but
still need
you're a great
linebacker.
person. I'm sure you're a great person.
Wait.
You were one of the worst third round between you and Matt Parrott. You're one of the worst third round picks that we got, past, present,
Monty,
future.
are you saying that they didn't address the front seven? So are we just forgetting about Nacho and Ashawn Robinson?
No, he's saying edge. He specifically said pass. rush.
No, he said front seven.
I-
He did
and-
not
and
say
the dra-
edge.
and I said in the
He
draft,
said front
Sarge.
seven, and they said pass rush. So you know,
I said in the draft.
sentence.
As far as full
Sarge is just getting ready
offseason
to cut a
goes,
promo and take somebody's head off.
as far as offseason goes, they didn't address the interior defensive line, and they did add Okereke. But outside of Okereke, our linebackers are essentially the same. We still need a linebacker too, so we need somebody to show up. And then we did not add a single edge rusher.
That hurts right
No,
there.
he's not. Clint Sintum is good. Didn't Clint Sintum win a Super Bowl?
Makes O'Shea look good for sure. But yeah, so those are probably my.
I will not stand for Clint Sintum slander in this podcast. There will be no Clint Sintum slander.
I'll never forget when that guy Clint
think
Sinton got drafted, and they were like, "Oh, this is a classic Jerry Reese pick. Long arms, fast, versatile." Out of Virginia.
Jerry Reese. Shout out Jerry Reese. Maybe he was ahead of his time. I think if he was drafting today, he'd probably have a little bit more success with those tweeners.
Absolutely.
Those tweeners a decade ago just weren't happening, and he just kept going for them, and it just didn't work.
He'd take an
He
edge
hit on a
rushers
couple,
and
though.
put them as off-ball linebackers. It was crazy.
It's true.
All right, what about you guys? You guys have yours?
All right, Sarge, what do we got?
I'm super excited that they signed a UDFA long snapper. No, I'm not at all. That's ridiculous.
Casey Kreider slander.
It's not Casey Kreider slander because I don't think we need I don't think we need competition for the long snapper position. Okay, Casey Kreider is the best long snapper in the league, and Twitter cannot tell me different. That poll was rigged.
That poll was rigged.
Anyway.
100%.
That's what she said.
Anyway, well, they were all bots. I'm not even because they didn't want Casey Kreider to win. No, as far as the draft goes, the whole offseason is sending a message. We need to stop the run, and we need to both create and stop explosive plays.
Yep, we got faster.
We got faster. We got athletic. We've got guys on this team who can stuff the center of that center of the defensive line. We can make sure we've got quality backup in the interior defensive line. So Dexter Lawrence does not have to play 97% of the defensive snaps. We've got Okereke at linebacker. We actually have. I'm actually really excited to see some of these guys that are coming back from injury. It's almost like we get two whole draft classes in 1 year.
I really do.
Azudu's coming back from an injury. McKeithen, Beavers. I know there's other names I'm forgetting. Wandale will be back later in the year. He was just starting to. The game he got hurt, the Detroit game, he was just starting to really come on to see what we had there, and we're going to get all these guys back. So I'm kind of excited to see what it's going to look like. This team is going to look drastically different when we hit the field this year than we did last year. We got faster on offense. We got meaner and more stout on defense. I can't wait. I cannot wait.
Yeah, no, I'm
Smooth.
I just went from 6 to midnight. I don't know about you guys. Jesus Christ, you guys are making me horny. No, the thing that I'll tell you is that I think what's interesting about the picks in particular, and I'll talk about one of the sleeper picks, is the cornerback out of ODU, Trey Hawkins. Just like learning more about him, like he has a very similar athletic profile to Deontay Banks, and I think what's interesting is with Wink's defense, it's crazy to say this. He didn't blitz as much as he probably wanted to, because he knew that he had a bunch of duds in the defensive backfield. So if you add a couple of ball hawk guys who can stay disciplined, but also can take some risks and take some chances. Look, that team with, you got Dane Belton, you got a healthy Xavier McKinney for a year. McLean is over from Washington. He actually is a pretty big ball hawk too. I know he picked us off a couple times. I think Daniel Jones was injured that game, but still, we've seen him enough in the division where he's a serviceable guy. I think it makes me excited for kind of
and we got the guy from
Giants
Detroit
defense. Yeah, cornerback. Yep. With the Kurike, like I just feel like we have pieces. We have pieces on the defensive side that's going to make me remember what it was like to kind of see that some of those Giants teams that started to ascend to Super Bowl caliber in the mid to early 2000s or late 2000s, and just see if we can compete this year, because that's our biggest thing. Like I don't think we're going to have an issue scoring points again this year. I think Daniel Jones will take another step forward. Saquon will get something done, and if he doesn't, it's fine. We'll figure out our running game without him, and we got weapons now. So I think I feel good about it, but I'm more excited about the defensive secondary where Wing can do some exotic blitzes, and then maybe we can make some plays where we're picking the ball off, not just causing 3 and outs like we were doing this year.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Speed everywhere has got to be exciting. Both sides of the ball, speed everywhere, which will be nice. More professional depth, if you will, better depth. So you will see guys going in and out and getting replaced because of that. But it's all very, very exciting. So to wrap up with the bearded squad, number one, these beards are amazing. And end of May, I actually started growing my beard out and I trimmed it, and my children were not happy. So I told them end of May I will start regrowing it. Tell everybody where to catch you guys. What are you up to? Where do you follow you guys? Tell them about the YouTube channel. Let just people know about the beards, man. Let people know.
I mean, you see, these are our Twitter handles. Definitely subscribe to Big Blue Beards on YouTube. We're every Thursday, 9:30. I've been taking a step back because of the newborn, so I appreciate the guys, jumping in, making sure that we have some content always. And you kind of have a beard, so there's always a spot for you if we need a sub, Zain. So if we keep your Thursday night schedule open, maybe we'll have you jump in
I got
at
you,
some
man.
point.
Just let me know Thursday nights
We're-
are free.
we're not sizes. We're not sizes.
Yeah, we're not size phobic. We don't worry about the
I
girls.
don't know.
I
I
mean-
feel inferior right now. I feel like there's a little bit, it's too stubbly. It's
We've
not
had
good enough.
beards
When
of
you get to
all shit.
I won't lie to you, Zain. If I go into a negotiation and I got a bigger beard than the guy in front of me,
Oof.
I automatically know I got him. So
I understand. No, I'm actually with you. I would tell the other guy, listen, you need to go ahead of me, man. I'm not the one. You gotta respect the beard. I tell my kids every day. My 12-year-old's ready. He's like, I can't wait till I get my beard.
With the bigger beard has a right away. Yeah, it's a rule. Like when you're in traffic, the bigger beard has a right away.
I've heard that.
It's in the Constitution. So
Yeah.
you can look it up.
That's what Google's for. Find
All
it.
right, fellas. Appreciate the
Guys,
beard.
beards know the rule. Like other
Make sure
they don't know the rule.
Make sure you follow everybody on Twitter, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and more importantly, interact with them. These are actually real people. Get to know people in your community, listen to their takes,
Hey.
go ahead and challenge their takes, and have some
Hey,
back and
you know
forth.
what I-
Enjoy.
Oh yeah, always open to it.
Zain, I'm going to cut you off here for a second.
All right, go on.
There's a bunch of people now. No one has hit that like button except for me. Everybody in the chat right now, hit the like button. Subscribe to the podcast.
Listen,
We might come back.
Sergeant spoken.
And if there are not more subscribers and more likes, I'm going to start taking heads.
There you go.
Zain,
Subscribe. You should put that in the scroll.
in the banner.
And the better, Sergeant will kill you.
Zain, real quick before we go, I know we're wrapping up.
Sure.
Congrats
No.
on starting the new podcast.
Appreciate it. Thank you, fellas.
Wish you all the best. Definitely I will like and subscribe
right.
myself if I haven't already.
I appreciate that.
And appreciate you having us on.
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna
just
we're gonna kick this
kicking it.
again. Be on the lookout. I'm trying to get a whole event going with some content creators and figuring some stuff out. So be on the lookout. You guys will be involved with it. So again, once again, appreciate you guys being on. I thank everybody in the chat. Thanks for just kicking it. So just talk football and life. And like I said, follow these gentlemen if you will. And if you don't, Sarge is gonna come kill you. So it's your place. All right.
It's a pleasure.
That's too
Thank
easy
you.
and it's too
Appreciate
quick.
you.